My name is Frank Salazar, and I'm a proud member of the Choose to Change Mentoring Program. The Choose to Change Mentoring Program is a self supporting Christian based sponsored group sponsored by the Choose to Change Foundation. There is no fee to attend, but we do encourage donations and from our members and to anyone else who believes in what we do. The only requirement for membership is a sincere desire to change your life. We are on a mission to restore families by inspiring, challenging, and equipping men to become better fathers, husbands, and leaders in our community. So if you're ready to change your life, then you're in the right place. Through this program, you will learn exactly where to start your life change journey, tools and resources to keep you going, and a support system to help you reach your goals. The Choose to Change mentoring program believes in three key principles of life. Number one, we believe in the life changing power of God through faith in Jesus Christ. Number two, we believe that God has already done his part and it is your responsibility to learn to do your part. Number three, success or failure is a choice, and the choice is yours. So if you're ready, say, I'm ready. All right. So, like I said, my name is Frank Salazar. I've been a member for 6, 7 years since 2015. And, this program has done a lot for me. One of the things that I've been doing is I've been attending this Toastmasters club where I'm learning to be a better speaker. So because of that, that's why I'm up here, and I got something prepared here that I want to share. So I got this quote here: "If today you are not challenged, you will miss tomorrow's opportunity to excel." And that's why we're here. That's why we come here to be challenged every week. Because you might come like, yeah, I've heard this before, but sometimes you need that refresher and something that Orlando says or someone says something here, it's gonna click one day, and tomorrow or next week you're gonna recall that and you're like, hey, like I can use this, or this is what Orlando was talking about. So like what you're gonna learn today, you're gonna use it tomorrow and down the road. It's something where we need to be challenged. I think Pastor Roman was saying last night, when a baby calf is born, if it's not struggling, it's dead. It's stillborn. So they start life struggling, and that makes them stronger to face the life. So we're gonna go ahead and start to be challenged by Orlando right now. So I'm gonna turn it over to Orlando Salinas.
Frank, that was really good, Frank. You're really he's come a long way, Frank. Frank is a member of this group for about 8 years. He said, right? 8 years. What does it really take? Is the question today. What does it really take? Guys, welcome. I want to thank everybody for coming. Thank you for showing up. It's been a long day. I'm sure you understand. it's and then, I do a lot of traveling in my business. That's what I do, just back and forth, and doing this, doing that. I ate too much at noon, and I fell asleep. Pero bueno, man, I needed to rest, and I rested for a couple of hours, and then I wasn't sure what I was going to share tonight, but I started thinking about my brother, you Juan, and other guys that I've been speaking to. And one of the things we talk about at the Choose to Change Foundation is all about change. It's all about moving forwards. It's all about success. It's all about where do we go from here? Because we're all going somewhere, right? We're going somewhere. to a better place. So I wrote a couple of a question down that I wanted to read to you guys, and there's plenty of advice in these rooms right now. Right now, you have something to say that can help someone else. That's what I learned a long time ago. I have something to say that can help someone else. So I want to see if we can get a little bit of participation today. And I'm just going to start with these questions that I talk a lot about, but I think it would be very fitting for today's meeting. Um, I'm nervous because tomorrow we're having our first annual dinner event, and it's come together, and it's. I'm really nervous about that, but we have people coming, and I come in here. I'm in front of somebody every single week. I've preached all over the world. I've been able to share my story in all kinds of different churches around the country, around the world. But for some reason, I'm really nervous about tomorrow. And I think that's a good thing. Who thinks that? I think that's a good thing to be nervous. But let's talk a little bit about tonight, about what does it really take? Let's talk about that. So what am I talking about? Let me ask you a couple more questions like this. Here you go. Here's what I wrote down. What does it really take to finally get to a point where you're ready or you want to make some changes in your life? What does it take? There you go. It takes a storm. For many people, the storm brings them in. And for most of us, storms, we talked about that last week, storms bring us in. In other words, the storms of life, the things you're going through, tragedy, right? For many of us, drug addiction and family violence, alcoholism. Let me finish reading the question. And once you get to that point, because this is what I teach in here, right? You start at this starting point here, you know, and you're here, sad and broken, right? You got here. You come from this side of the world. We'll call this the world because the world can destroy you. The things of this world, the things that we involve ourselves in, but how do we get from here to finally here, which is wanting to change, which is the first step to change is desire, wanting to change. How do we get from here to here? That's the question tonight. Because really we want to go from there to success, right? I got happy. Success. And I misspelled it. You know, that's what we're trying to get over here. I whistled. Ese, no, vale más. Es muy feo ese. There you go. You know, happy, success, whatever that means for you. We talked about that. But tonight we're just going to focus on the first thing is what does it take to get here to finally say, I'm ready? Help me. I'm ready. What do I do? Where do I go from here? And a lot of people get there. It doesn't mean that you go to prison or you wound up. But you get there for some reason or another. So let me continue the questions. And once you get to that point, where do we start? How hard is it? And what can we realistically expect? What can we realistically expect in our lives? Because I've seen that, one of the things that I've seen in my experience. Let me give you my experience. And what I mean by this, for me, what it took was going back to prison, robbing a store for one more hit of cocaine on my daughter's 4th birthday. That's my story. That's what that's where I was. I was very lost and confused and wicked. I say I was twisted. I was a drug addict. And I got to a point in my life that I was either going to kill myself, die, or kill someone else, or that's where I was. And that's what brought me here. Right? And once I got there, I was in jail, I was in prison. So the question started arising. Okay, so where do I go from here? I turned to God. I turned to God. And then I started thinking, well, what can I realistically expect? Because I don't know about you, right? But I didn't know, and I didn't believe, Juan, or that I could actually change. It was very difficult for me to believe that. God promised me. God promised me. He said, if you believe, all things are possible to him who believes. So I started thinking about that. I started thinking about I started believing that. I started believing that my life could change. I started believing that things could get better. I started believing, but one thing is believing it in prison, right? Because believe it or not, it's easy in prison. It really, really is. I don't recommend you want to go to prison. I don't recommend you go there. But that's another subject. But I knew that when I got out, that was a real challenge. So let me read something else here. So the question was, what can I realistically expect? Now, the reason I brought this question up is because I have my brother here, and I'm so glad to have my brother here. And you coming in, Juan, and Alex over there, and then you've been coming here for a while. They told us a story when over at the chamber, I mean at the Just Us meeting, that you spoke for us. Thank you. Yeah.
So yeah, for my job, I work at PF Chang's, and so
First
every second Wednesday of the month, they have the group with with yourselves and a bunch of other people,
business
and
people.
business people, and they have like a luncheon, and I always take care of them for the past 2 3 years, and yeah, I got the opportunity to meet Mr. Salinas, and then come in here, and then I come out here and just learn a little bit, so. And I said, hey, I've been attending these classes, and it's a good change. You know,
Yeah.
it's a little
That was
inspiring.
the story that Miss Pedrazas told. That was him. So let me just share a couple of things. Well, with that in mind, can anybody share something about what does it take, first of all, to get here? For me, it took prison, right? But what do you think it took? What did it took for you? Because I see a lot of people that they're ready for change, but they're resisting. So what do you think it takes? A ver.
The definition of insanity: doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
So then, so then, so then, people that keeps on doing. So then, another what you're saying is that something has to change, right? Okay. So something has to change. Anybody else want to add to that? What does it take for someone to finally get to that breaking point in their life where they're ready to change? When they're ready to have that desire to make a change. Hospital, okay. So a near-death experience, accident, okay. So anybody else? Broken spirit. That's a good one actually, because to get the mic
You have different levels of getting to that point.
correct,
For some people, it
and
may
this is why I'm
be
asking it.
a broken spirit. For other people, it may be going to prison 3 times. For other people, it may be almost overdosing. For other people, it may be losing their families.
Mhm.
So it's at different points for different people.
I think of depression, which is a broken spirit. We many people, because many people are there at this depression level and can't get out, and it's really difficult, right? Because I'm going to talk about that. The next question is the things that you have to do to get out of there. But broken spirit, hospital stay. For me, it was prison, drug addiction. There you go. A bad relationship. That'll do it. That'll do it. Relationships. See, and the reason I'm doing this is because I speak to so many people, and I know that your story is not the same as mine. It's the same tragedy. It's the same headache. It's the same pain. It's the same hurt, right? It's the same failure. There you go. Right? Because that's where we start at failure. So then, now the reason I'm asking you is that here's something else that came to my mind. Because wives call me about their husbands, mothers call me or crying because they want me to help their son, their husband, their right, their spouse. So in my mind, I immediately, oh my God, it's so hard to help mothers and wives understand that I really can't help them if they don't want to change, if they're not here. And many, many times, the wife and the mother, what do you call that when somebody helps them too much? They become enablers. And that is it's really, really tough. And for someone to be like me, my mom, she was an enabler to me. If she would have gone to prison for me. Why? Because that's what moms do. And it's hard to explain that to a mother and to a wife sometimes, that you have to make some tough decisions. You have to cut it off. So in any case, those are the things that it takes, right? It takes some kind of devastation. It takes some kind of break in your marriage, in your relationship, in your career, in your spirit. Something, you something, right? Okay, so once we get there, then the reality hits. Man, where do I go from here? How do I change? What do I do? This is what Choose to Change is all about. But here's what I want to give you, is that no matter if you are going to have some kind of success in life, in your relationships, in your business, in your career, in your personal life, you're going to have to embrace some kind of belief, some kind of system, some kind of program, some kind of faith, some kind of, you're going to have to start doing something we talked about different. Does that make sense, right? We're going to have to start doing something different. So the reason I'm bringing this up, guys, is because it's very difficult to explain to people what it takes to change your life. Because it's people, some people say you get, like, I think of some like you, Juan. You can say, hey, well, I'm successful, I'm doing pretty good, I don't need to change. But you know who you are. And that's the same thing with all of us here. We have different levels, like we talked about. But no matter where you are, what I'm trying to get to is that you're going to have to embrace somebody's belief, somebody's advice, somebody's program. So let me give you some examples. I started learning, I come to church in the mornings, and I do a little bit of prayer. And I come off and on about 2 or 3 times a week. I come to prayer, and I pray every day, but I literally come here and sit and pray, at least 2 to 3 times a week here at the church in the mornings. And the reason I do that is, another thing I do in the mornings is I don't immediately get my phone and start looking through all my emails. I don't listen to worldly music. Well, I don't listen to it anyway. I don't turn on the news yet. For at least the first hour, I don't want to listen to anything yet, because I'm meditating, I'm thinking of the day, I'm asking God to guide me, because I learn through books, through other mentors, through successful people, that you have to get your mind straight. You have to focus a little bit before you start getting in the roll of things. And that's a discipline that I've learned. and that's what I do. But so I didn't used to do that, but I embraced that idea that someone else told me, that someone else taught me. Um, so this is what I'm trying to get to, that you have to embrace somebody's idea. Let me read my notes. When it comes to change, whether it be a bad habit or drug addict addiction, maybe you want to change your attitude. Careers, right? You just want to change who you are, because that's what I wanted. I wanted to change that man in the mirror. That was my biggest monster. That, yeah, and the Bible teaches, and I'm getting there, because one of the things the Bible teaches. Well, let me continue, because I'm going to get ahead of myself here, because I'm getting there. Well, one thing you must do is find help and follow some kind of advice, which means you're going to have to do something that you're not used to doing, like coming to choose to change, right? Going to church, reading your Bible, reading books. You're going to have to start doing something that you're not used to doing, and you're going to have to follow some kind of program, some kind of model, some kind of advice that someone's going to offer you. You're going to have to do that. Okay? Alex. Hold on, Alex.
I just wanted to add that that is very true, and as you've got to set your mind to what you're going to do and what you're going to commit your life to, because I have learned, and each and every one of us can probably relate to this, that for example, as a man who's backslidden, or has taken some steps back, who has failed, who has had some circumstances in his life,
Setbacks.
some setbacks, and some storms, right? So, but the reality is that as a man, right, as in this setting, a as you're choosing to change, I have learned, and I am witness that you already know, for because they say, and they've preached it, they says you already know when you're gonna backslide, because you've already thought about it.
Mm,
You've already placed it in your mind. You know what you're gonna do next weekend. You know what you're gonna do tomorrow. You've already made a decision, right? And that's leaning towards the negative side. But on the other hand, and what I want to encourage, and what I want to, as for me, what's worked for me is that there's also the other side, where you make that decision, just like you make that decision to backslide. You knew you were going to backslide, or you thought about it 6 months ago. It was just eventually it's going to happen, right? But on the flip side, when you decide to choose to change, when you decide to make that decision, you've already planned that. It's already in motion. You says, okay, I'm going to do that. And that's why I'm attending this mentorship class, and that's why I seek for your advice, and that's why I covet this program, because I have already made a decision before the storms of life came. Right, I had already made a decision. You know what? I'm gonna do this because I need change, because I'm headed in the wrong direction. I already know where I'm headed. Right, so I had an option. I said, do I want to backslide again, or do I want to change, and do I want to be totally committed to the program, totally committed to the change, totally committed to be a better citizen of the community, and a better man all around. So I just want to add that you've already made up your mind on what you're going to set your mind and what you're going to do tomorrow, right? And you have the opportunity to change that and seek a better outcome, a better
right.
desire
You
for your
know,
life.
you said something about how you already said in your mind. In the program of AA, in these programs, they teach something called reservations. In other words, you have these reservations. Like many of us, I'm sure all of us has gone through this. You say you're going to change, you go through some motions, you tell everybody you're going to change. But in the back of your mind, right, you have other, what do you call it, alternative motives? Oh, There you go. So because that's what you're talking about. That in your mind, you already know that, I know I'm not supposed to drink, but maybe. Yeah, there's a big game tonight. There you go. When I go over there, and for me, that's what happened to me. If you read my book, uh, I talk about how when I got out of prison this time, which most people don't know, because I don't share it too much. I'm not proud of it. It devastated my pride, but that was my problem. I thought I was doing it all. I thought I was making it happen. I thought I was had the smarts now. I thought I could do right because we build this business, because we build this, and I'm thinking I'm doing all this, right? I'm not saying that, but my attitude and my being maybe, or just I don't even realize it that I'm doing that. And what happens? A year and a half when I got out of prison, exactly 1 year and a half when I got out of prison, I drank my first beer. Just because, hey, it's not that bad. Just one. Within 6 months, I almost devastated my wife. That did devastate my wife again. And I fell flat on my face again. I was back where I didn't put another needle in my arm, but man, that was next. And that was devastating. That was devastating. Why? Because way back then, in my mind, I said one day. I had a reservation. I don't have reservations today. I know in whom I believe today. I know in who I serve today. I'm a Christian man. I'm a Christian leader. I'm a born again, devil stomping, devil chasing, Holy Ghost filled, tongue speaking Christian. I love my wife. I love my children. I love my job. I love people. And I'm going to live an example till I die. That's it. That's what I'm going to do. Not if things go good or if things, no, I'm going to do that because that's how you change. Right? That's how it works. You have nothing to hide. My wife, she just picks up my phone like nothing. Like, what do you need? There's no code. There's no nothing. There's nothing to hide. Yeah, it's an amazing relief. And that's how change works. Jesus Christ taught this, and the reason I'm bringing this up tonight, and the way I'm bringing it up, is because I haven't even mentioned the Bible yet and what the scripture says. But the Bible teaches us that unless you die to self, unless you die to self, and that's really difficult for people to grasp. Yes. And that's something that you have to really pray and come to terms with. What does that mean? That means that your ways, like what I said, that you're going to have to embrace somebody's ways, that your ways are not the way to live. Now you're going to embrace God's ways, Jesus' ways. And people don't understand that. People don't understand that. They look at somebody successful, just somebody successful that's not a Christian, and they wonder, man, they must be lucky. They must, had money. They must have had a good family. They must have had, they think that they had something special in them. And success doesn't work that way. Anybody can be successful if you what? If you choose to. Anybody can change your life if you choose to. Anybody can be a better person if you choose to. The Bible, I'll never forget. Let me tell you how, and I'll open it up for more comments. How choose to change, the idea of choose to change came to me. When I realized that life change, success, overcoming in life was a choice. It was that simple. It was really difficult for me to grasp that. I couldn't. Can it really be that simple? Yeah, or a revelation. Can it be that simple? And it is, because in is it in Genesis where Moses said, "I set before you death and life, blessing and cursing." He says, "Choose." And that's how life works. That's how change works. There's no middle of the ground. You're either in or you're out. And that's how you're going to be successful in your life change journey. When you make those kind of choices for your future, for your relationships, for your just peace of mind, you say, come hell or high water. Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego that I told you last week. Even if you throw me in the water, in the fire. Do you know that story? I'm going to share it with you. In Daniel, the book of Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego love God. They serve God because that's how we're supposed to live when it comes to change. But the king said, "Hey, you're going to have to bow down to my God." Bend. There you go. Yes, there were Jewish men, and and the king said, "If you don't bow down to my God, I'm going to throw you in the fire furnace. I'm going to kill you. In fact, I'm going to turn it off 7 times, and they're going to throw you." And these guys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were sold out. They were in this. Hey, they chose already. They chose life. And they told the king, "King, we can't do that. We won't serve your gods. We're not going to do what you tell us to do, because we know that our God can deliver us." But that's not the powerful part. The powerful part is that they said, even if he doesn't save us, we still know who we serve. We still know that God is King, Jesus Christ. And that's how we're supposed to live as Christians. And sure enough, they threw him in the fire. They threw him in the fire. But they were saved. God saved them. But my point is, that's how we have to live our lives. Because, like we said last week, the storms are coming. They're going to come. And you're going to have to deal with it. Does anybody have anything to say here? And we'll go ahead and close up here in a minute. Anybody have anything to say? Anything to share? Go ahead.
I just like I don't have like a storm that I just knew that, you know what, I need to start. I'm going to I go to PVC, but then I call Judge, and he brought me here. Right, just I mean, and I barely started reading the Bible about 60 days ago, and now I know the story, and I know. I mean, not all. I mean, I can work my way around it, but by me, I read one Proverbs per day, and you know, I mean, I've already read it twice, and I'm working on my third time. But Proverbs is just, if you follow Proverbs,
That is true. Proverbs is a really, really good book to start on. I read Proverbs every single day for years. Years. A lot of great advice, a lot of great stuff. But I wanted to just share these things with you guys because so many people are struggling. Let's just touch on this issue really quick. What can you realistically expect? Once you got there, you're ready to change, you made your choice. So the other question that was, what can you realistically expect? Let me tell you what you can realistically expect. A lot of work. A lot of work. You can expect some setbacks. You can expect some regret. You can expect some challenges. Because nobody starts here without going through this. And that's what's going to make you stronger as you go through the process of change, as you go through the storms. It's going to make you stronger. You know, you're gonna get to a crossroads in life. You know, whether you're looking for a job or you're going through some things, you're gonna see some regrets, some mistakes you made in the past. Man, if I shouldn't have done that. That's why your faith, yes, and that's why these three are first in the process of change, because those are the key ingredients when you get started. And this is what you can realistically expect: a challenge, work, setbacks, regrets. And then, you're going to have to make some decisions along the way. Maybe you need to get, I don't know, I'm not sure. It's so different for so many people. I just want to get better at being the leader that I am, the father. I want to be a blessing to others, help others more the best I can. Because in here you're going to learn. One of the things that I've learned, if I haven't learned anything else, you help enough people get what they want, and God will always give you what you want. God will always take care of you. God will always take care of you. Go ahead. Let's go ahead and pass around the donation bucket, please. We usually pass around a donation bucket, guys. It's just for you to put in a couple of dollars if you have it. If not, it's not mandatory. It's just to help us here as we move forward with our program. So we're a self-supporting group, which is why we're raising money at this event. So, and I know that not everybody comes prepared or can, give any. Go ahead over there.
I just want to say that, some of these, like the songs that we sing in church, we just sing them. But right now, when you're saying, you got to make up your mind, there's a song that says, "I've got my mind made up to serve the Lord." And when you really have your mind made up, that when you hear that song, it just gives you a different feeling instead of just singing it, because like, I've got my mind made up no matter what I'm going through, whether it's through the fire or whether it's through a joyous occasion. My mind's made up. It's not going to change. Nowhere. And the song that says, "You either get in or get out, or get run over."
Yeah.
And it's the truth. When you think about it, and you're really, your mind's made up, and you're in, because if you're not in, you're out.
Yeah.
And you get run over. So when you learn, and you hear people like you, and we hear the preaching, you realize how intense those words are. Yes.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that.
There's so much to learn, and I can add to all this. There's so much more, but I just thought I'd bring this perspective, this idea, because the people on here, over here, remember, we had our mind made up too, that we were going to be the way we are, and that's it. So what brings us here to this crossroads of wanting to change is different for all of us. Because I had my mind up too. I was gonna die a loser drug addict. I had my mind made up. Because for whatever reason, we can make all the excuses in the world, but and I'll say this one more thing. The reason I was thinking about this is because so many people come to these rooms, so many people come to church, so many people, and they're struggling so much because they do not make up their mind. The one, yeah, yeah, really. Well, maybe. Yeah, yeah. We have Bible studies, but this is why the Choose to Change is just a small group. It really helps. Bible studies help a lot. And We have those on Fridays. But guys, does anybody else have anything to say? Anything else to say? Comment? Anything? Other than that, we'll go ahead and close it up. I really thank you for being here. Please pray for us tomorrow. We're having our event. Your tables are going to be ready, brother. And uh, what can I tell you? I'll be here next week and tell you all about the event. Keep believing for us and keep choosing to change. God bless you and thank you for watching. That's all we have. Amen.